Red October 1, Inferno. Portland police allow Antifa and Black Lives Matter to terrorize civilians. Coming up in this video,
Today, I asked the police bureau why they didn't intervene.
Officers arriving at the location may change the dynamics of what are going on there.
No, he needs to stay! Get out of here!
Well, they're blocking traffic.
Get the hell back! Driving, switch Boston, bitch!
this video/article will detail one of many cases in which angry, irrational, violent mobs, namely Antifa and Black Lives Matter, were allowed by the police to terrorize law-abiding citizens and to vandalize public and/or private property. Portland, Oregon, October 2018. Make no mistake, these people literally engage in terrorism by definition. As we will see, in this case, the police once again stood back and watched from a safe distance because, they said, it might pose a danger to officers if they enforce the law, if they fulfill their oath to protect and serve citizens and the US Constitution. People, we're talking about soft, spoiled brats who routinely get their asses kicked even when they are armed and outnumber their disarmed opponents, as I've demonstrated in past videos. But Portland's police are afraid of them? That's what they say, as we will see, but is that believable? By the way, the chief of police in Portland is Daniel Outlaw. Seriously? Seriously. Who writes this stuff? In response to this lawlessness, a group of freedom-loving patriots held a flash march in which they called on police to enforce the law, called on citizens to demand that the police enforce the law, and to call on the mayor/police commissioner, Ted Wheeler, to stand down, all while obeying traffic laws as they marched. Along the way, they were blocked and attacked by Antifa, and once again, Antifa was sent running. The organizer of the march, Joey Gibson, would appear and the issue would otherwise be discussed in popular media programs including national television. Being a national embarrassment, the mayor/police commissioner would hold a special press conference basically to say, oh yeah, well, last summer his people had a cache of guns and they were positioned on a rooftop with loaded guns. And that's scary because they were overlooking a crowd, a protest crowd, and they were part of Joey Gibson's group, so there. And by the way, because of this, you should be scared into supporting new measures to further violate people's constitutional rights. By the way, as we'll see, it turned out that he and the officers representing the Portland Police Bureau lied, according to official police dispatch records. And by the way, they saw an Antifa with a gun and didn't tell anyone. And as we'll see, the mayor will use their own lies as justification for tighter restrictions on the First and Second Amendment. In the following days, their lies would be exposed and they would thereby become even bigger national embarrassments. Note, unlike the mainstream media, we will establish and support every fact stated with one or more sources. In the case of this video, over 80 sources were used. However, I am not claiming that the facts that are stated are actually true. Hence, I will say things like, according to this source, yada yada, and reportedly, blah blah blah. After each fact is stated, a citation is given like this, which refers to a source given in the references section like this. This way, every fact can easily be checked. Many of the sources are videos that show what actually happened, of course, but some of them are news articles and etc. So if you're confused when the facts that I state are at odds with the narratives given by mainstream media outlets, ask yourself if they established their facts like I do. By the way, folks, notice I work really hard on this stuff. I really do. I don't ask for money, but please share this video. Thanks. By the way, those references are at the end of the written version of this video. This story will be told as a trilogy, and this is the first part, Red October 1, Inferno, in which these mobs take over streets and harass civilians as police stand back and watch at a safe distance for fear of their own safety. Make sure you subscribe to us on BitChute, see the first link below in the description to see Red October 2, Purgatorio, and Red October 3, Paradiso. Thanks for watching, everyone. Here we go. And now, like Dante, down into the pit of despair go we. But fear not, for we shall purge and ascend unto the light, in parts 2 and 3. Igne natura renovator integra. Nature renewed by fire made whole. Police shoot and kill Patrick Kimmins. According to multiple reports, in the early morning of September 30th, 2018, there was an incident leading to the death of Patrick Kimmins by police in Portland. The Portland Police Bureau released this update in which they say that they arrived at a shootout between civilians, including Kimmins, and, quote, moments later, officers were involved in a shooting, resulting in Mr. Kimmins being shot and transported to a local hospital where he later died. A gun was recovered near Mr. Kimmins, and multiple firearms were recovered in the area of the crime scene, unquote. Notice the strategic language with its lack of specificity. They call it an, quote, officer-involved shooting, unquote, several times in this release. The Oregonian posted this video from the same day titled, Memorial Crops Up at Scene of Fatal Portland Police Shooting. At 3:39 p.m., reporter Lindsay Nadrich, if I'm saying that correctly, tweeted this video and wrote, quote, a group of people are now gathered where the officer-involved shooting happened early this morning in downtown Portland. One man was killed. Police had not officially identified him, but the group is shouting his name, unquote. At 4:17 p.m., Jennifer Dowling of Coin 6 News tweeted, people are protesting the death of a man shot by police early Sunday morning. Brandon Farley tweeted this video, which he says is from 5:30 p.m. that day at the site.
People aren't out here just making noise. That's not what they're doing. They're out here because 3 children lost their father.
3 children lost their father because he was downtown doing things he should have been doing.
Hey, old ass lady, nobody's listening to you. Old, real mature, flipping it off. Look at this old lady. She's like 90. So is this what you came out to do? Make more noise? Oh, I'm being assaulted. Help! Help, officer! I'm being attacked! Help! Help! Help!
Let's not yell at
Help! She's attacking me!
You focus on the
now we got another black man out here. Clap for that. Doesn't get on black people. Come talk to him.
This is her home. We have to respect her home.
Go inside, old lady! Too old to party with us, you don't care. You probably voted against Martin Luther King.
You don't care the way out
The
here.
loudest voice is not always the
We're
lightest
here to
voice.
mourn. We're not here for you. We're not here for your comfort. We're here to mourn. We're mourning 2 people who died.
Nobody mourns for me.
We
What?
Go inside.
Go inside. I didn't put any hands on her.
Go inside.
12 shots into his back.
The issue-
Not okay.
the
Under
issue-
any circumstance.
But it's also not
Is
okay
that
for you to be
okay?
yelling at her
Do
on
you
this
hear
show.
me? I'm yelling at them
I know,
too.
but you're standing here yelling at her.
There's no discussion left in our country. There's only, I can outshout you, and his version is, I'll get a bullhorn to make sure I can outshout you.
Exactly, yes. There's
And
no
so
actual discourse and
we've been
discussion of the
listening
actual
to this. Everyone in this apartment complex has been listening to this yelling and screaming all day long.
Farley also tweeted, pedestrian confronts protesters with this video, which he places at 6 p.m.
should be guilty for being white. You should? Oh, man. Yes. Let's go. Does this face look like I gave a fuck? No, you don't have your fucking face. All right, so there's I don't give a fuck if there's a camera behind me. Fuck your camera. Get me on video. I don't give a fuck. I'll beat your ass right here, bitch. What's up? What's up, then, nigga? So what's up? What Try me. Swing Boston, bitch. Get the fuck out of here. What's up here? Swing that. Swing that, bitch. Swing that. Swing that. Yeah, you're a pussy nigga encouraging me, bitch. Swing that. Swing that. Swing that. Swing that. You ain't about shit. Swing that, bitch. Swing that, bitch.
What are you looking at?
Leave. Get the
What
fuck
are you
out.
looking at? What are you looking at? What are you looking for? You're not looking for me, motherfucker. That's why you're looking at
You're not gonna leave.
fucking
Swing that.
Hey, this bitch is in with the fuck.
Swing that, bitch. Tough guys.
You ain't
walk
start
away.
talking shit.
On October 5th, PDX Resistance, that is Portland Resistance, one of the Antifa groups there, tweeted, "It's time to show up for the family of Patrick Kimmins. If you really believe Black Lives Matter, then you need to show up in more than just Facebook posts and lawn signs. Join us in donating to his memorial fund after being murdered by Portland police. Remember, they're asking for donations here, okay? On October 6th, reportedly over 100 or hundreds of protesters gathered at the site of the shooting and held a march. Brandon Farley tweeted, "Portland protest escalates into riot on streets of downtown," with this video which he places at 4 p.m. October 6th. PDX Resistance tweeted, quote, "Find him, ruin him," unquote. Ah yes, this individual who dare to disobey these wannabe fascists, anti-fascists, he needs to be punished. So find him and ruin him. Zero tolerance for the sake of tolerance and inclusivity. Makes sense if you don't think about it. PDX Resistance also tweeted, quote, "Please retweet, do you know this white man? He used his vehicle as a weapon as he plowed through protesters. We take this very seriously, especially following the death of Heather Heyer." Ah yes, always dragging out the body of Heather Heyer to fit your freaking needs, huh? So sick. Non-racist Portland would like a word with him. Let us know, unquote. Obviously a veiled threat right there. And they listed the license plate number, which I have blocked out. This is allowed on Twitter routinely. You know, if you're ISIS, or if you're Antifa, whatever, that's fine. And by the way, I am not for censorship, I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy. Notice that Portland Antifa has given us proof that they broke his driver's side window. And notice the photographer whose photos were released through PDX Resistance in a doxing post is contributing to doxing. Unless they stole his photos. Also notice we could see the person's reflection in the passenger side window. I mention this because it's possible that the photographer is allied with PDX Resistance who are doxing this man. And threatening him, by the way. Farley tweeted this video with the caption, "Portland protesters directing traffic," which he places on October 6th, 2018, 5 p.m. Same location.
Oh, can I? Well, shut the fuck up! Search guard traffic, dumb bitch!
Just go that way. Because I told you to.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Don't hurt me.
Yeah, brother.
Just go,
Yeah, you little white little fucker.
Really?
Yeah. You're a fucking little whitey, aren't you? The First Amendment, get the fuck down the road.
Please just keep going the direction.
Just please turn right, for Christ's sake.
Please go the direction I asked you to go.
For Jesus Christ's sake, just turn right.
Please, you're blocking traffic and they're getting this to you. You can turn. You can just turn. Just go. Just go. Just turn, please. Please just
now
keep
you're going to have
going.
to wait, because he's got cars coming. Bro, what are we doing here? Oh, you're from South Carolina. You are a little white supremacist. North Carolina, huh?
Right.
I'm a white supremacist because I'm white. Are you kidding me?
Go back to North Carolina where you came from. We don't need your KKK in Portland, Oregon. KKK from North Carolina. Someone shut the fuck up so I can speak. I got traffic.
Ask me if I give a fuck. I was talking to him, not you. Thank you very much.
But I'm in the middle of the intersection. And if I could have someone come. Where is it?
Now notice the police officer standing way back and watching these people break the law and harass civilians. The same taxpayers who pay this officer to protect and serve them is standing back and allowing them to be harassed. How nice. What is this police officer being paid for?
You're lucky to hit me. I ought to beat your ass. I guarantee you that.
Look, you don't pay my bills. Shut the fuck up. Don't engage. Don't engage. I love you. God damn it.
On that same day, October 6, KATU News reports a driver pushed through a group of protesters in downtown Portland Saturday afternoon. A KATU News photographer captured the incident on camera, unquote. And here we see that video. Notice that the KATU video doesn't show that they were kicking the car before it speeds away, like we saw with the Farley video. Somewhat suspicious. Reportedly, the driver later told police that his car sustained $3,000 worth of damage. This photo shows that mob member that was hitting his car with that baton. Writing about this incident, journalist Andy C. No, who, as we'll see, later appeared on Fox News, adds more information to the story in his piece about it for the Wall Street Journal. No reports that after PDX Resistance doxed him, Mr. Hauser has since received threatening phone calls identifying his wife by name. Quote, "I've lived here my whole life, but I don't want to go downtown anymore," unquote, he says. Quote, "When the streets are commanded by a sponsored group of angry, agitated ingrates and criminals, we have no city," unquote. No also writes, "The mob later occupied a busy intersection. When a middle-aged man driving a car with North Carolina plates stopped in confusion, the agitators descended on him. Quote, 'You little white effer,' shouted one white man. Quote, 'You are a little white supremacist. Go back to North Carolina where you came from,' unquote."
Oh, can I? Well, shut the fuck up. Let's go, trip, dumb bitch.
Just go that way. Because I told you to.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Don't hurt
Yeah,
me.
brother.
Just go,
Yeah, you little white little fucker.
Really?
Yeah. You're a fucking little whitey, aren't you? The First Amendment. Get the fuck down the road.
Please just keep going the direction.
Just please turn right
Please
for
go
Christ's
the
sake.
direction I asked
For
you to
Jesus
go.
Christ's sake, just turn
Please,
right.
you're
will ya?
blocking traffic and they're getting pissed at
we're
you.
blocking traffic.
You can turn. You can just turn. Just go. Just go. Just turn, please. Please just
Now
keep
you're gonna have to
going.
wait, 'cause he's got cars coming.
Well, what do we do here?
Oh, you're from South Carolina. You are a little white supremacist. North Carolina, huh?
Right.
I'm a white supremacist because I'm white. Are you kidding me?
Go back to North Carolina where you came from. We don't need your KKK in Portland, Oregon. KKK from North Carolina. Someone shut the fuck up so I can speak. I got traffic.
Ask me if I give a fuck. I was talking to him, not you. Thank you very much.
But I'm in the middle of the intersection. And if I could have someone come. Where is it?
The driver phoned police for assistance. Nobody came.
Well, they're blocking traffic.
Hold on one second there. You see that young lady right there? Where have we seen her before?
Like somebody we know.
Oh yeah, she's like one of those SJWs that you always see in memes. Let's check that out. Let's do an image search. SJW. I bet ya we will find her within the first few results. Either SJW or feminist. I bet you. But let's try SJW. Of course, oh, there she is. I think that's her. I might be kidding. I'm not sure. I really do think that might actually be her. It looks a lot like her. The iconic SJW face. Let's check this out. The blog entry is the iconic SJW face. It's hard to choose one face that stands or scrunches above the rest as the iconic social justice warrior face, but I believe I have found it. Harry Potter trainee.
Jim. Oh.
Okay. Well, I don't want to make this video too long. What do you think, folks? Is it her? Or is it just that they have a certain look? Okay, back to the video and back to the article by No. The crowd targeted other drivers.
Hit someone in the street, fucking dumbass! I dare you to hit me right now. I'll beat the shit out of you. I'll beat the shit out of you with him.
Quote, "You're lucky you didn't hit me. I would have beat your A," unquote, yelled a demonstrator at another driver.
There's no reason to... You're lucky you didn't hit me, I would have beat your ass. I guarantee you that.
Look, you don't pay my bills. Shut the fuck up. Don't engage. Don't engage. I love you.
One person punched the back of a passing car whose driver dared to honk.
Hit me, motherfucker.
In downtown Portland, law-abiding drivers were at the mercy of marauding street thugs. A block away, police officers looked on passively. Why didn't they respond? The department told me in a statement that it feared intervention would, quote, change the demeanor of the crowd for the worse, unquote. Such lawlessness is increasingly typical here. Portland's Resistance, you know, PDX Resistance, the one whose tweets we read earlier, organized a protest after Election Day 2016 that turned into a riot.
Yeah, hey there, guys. Unfortunately, we are witnessing a second altercation with a motorist here on Southeast Grand and Alder. There's a motorist who was yelling that there's an emergency. Oh, now we're, oh, geez. There's some guy trying to come in and keep the peace and get this car out of here.
Now, hold on a minute. Wait a minute. Some guy trying to keep the peace. Let's get a closer look.
There's an altercation that
there. It looks like Joey Gibson. Well, I noticed that, and I asked, and Joey said yes, that was him. So way to go, Joey. I didn't know that until I asked him. I had no idea. I've seen this clip a few times before, and I never really noticed. Now, you may be wondering, like I was, why was Joey Gibson even there? Well, I asked him. And he says that he saw people on the TV news. Like, this was broadcasted live or on the news. He saw that on the news, and he decided to drive down there, and then he went to where he saw the most violent people, and then there you go. But you know, I noticed something else as well. Okay, let's go ahead a little bit.
He's visibly upset in the front seat. Someone has a bat. Someone has a bat right here. There's a couple people out here trying to keep the peace.
Right there, that guy right there. His name is Micah Rhodes. We'll get into him in a few minutes, okay? But basically, he's one of the leaders of this mob. Portland Resistance, Portland Antifa, you know, all those kind of people. This guy is a sex criminal, and he is part of the mob. Now, it seems like he's trying to calm some people down right there, but you know what? This mob is his doing. Him and his partner. We'll get to them. But, okay, notice we have Micah Rhodes. He's one of the leaders of the violent mob. Then you have Joey Gibson, who's trying to keep the peace, okay? And the violent ones have been lying about Joey Gibson for a long time. He's a Nazi, he's a fascist, and all that kind of stuff. When we'll get to the fucking truth about these people, they are horrible people. Kidnappers, sexual abusers, having sex with underage kids, okay? We'll get to that. Let's move on.
Exactly right. This is what motorists are extremely frustrated. This hands-off approach by the police bureau leaves them hanging out to dry out here in situations like this.
Let's stop here. Notice what they just said. Okay, this is because the police are standing back. It's not that the police can't do anything about this. It's that they won't because of Mayor Wheeler. Moving on.
This woman is by herself, surrounded by protesters, hundreds of them. Her windshield's broken. She claimed to have had an emergency that she was trying to get through for.
Masked vandals smashed stores and set fires, causing over $1 million in damage. Portland's resistance raised $55,000 on GoFundMe, ostensibly to help pay for the rebuilding effort. 2 years later, only $2,450 is known to have been dispersed. Let's dwell a bit upon this apparent embezzlement of charity by these people, and by these people I mean Gregory Robert McKelvey and Micah Rhodes, because it seems that these two guys are among the leadership of Portland's Antifa, and in fact McKelvey claims to have founded Portland Resistance, otherwise known as PDX Resistance, which is one of the Antifa groups there, along with, say, Rose City Antifa and so on. Now, at this point in this video, I was going to go over how both of these guys have a history of assault of underage people and, well, rape of underage people, but that would make this video about 15 minutes longer, so I'll save that for another video. But if you can't wait for all those sort of details, you can see the written version of this article, see the link below. It will have all those sort of details. But it seems that McKelvey / Portland Resistance has recently been collecting money under the pretense that it's for the survivors of Patrick Kimmons. They stole over $50,000 before, it seems, and now it looks like they might exploit the family of a recently killed man for more money. If you doubt whether or not these guys are Antifa, the same Antifa that did all that damage in the first place, well, here's McKelvey with Antifa, including Portland's Antifa fixture Louis Marquez. Here's McKelvey thanking Antifa. McKelvey claims to not be with Antifa. He says that. He's even said that to me personally. He says that his group does not engage in riots and violence. Clearly, he is a liar. And know also that McKelvey seems to be obsessed with lying about Joey Gibson and Patriot Prayer and others to all his followers on social media. McKelvey, who has a log in his own eye, presumes to say that others have splinters in their eyes. He protests too much. These are the faces of Antifa. Is this social justice? How often have you seen the left-wing side of the media celebrate Antifa as if they are anti-fascists? How many times in our videos have we demonstrated that the left-wing side of the media and the Democrat politicians lie to protect Antifa? These alleged, and in some cases, convicted sex offenders, these alleged charity embezzlers, these rioters, these haters, these racists. These are the people that the Portland police allow to block cars, to smash car windows, and to threaten drivers. These are the violent mobs that the Mayor Ted Wheeler lets rule the streets and to terrorize law-abiding citizens of his city. As we saw, the Portland police stand back and watch from a distance doing nothing. As we've shown in past videos, the Portland police will confiscate weapons and defense items from people like Patriot Prayer and the Proud Boys when they rally and march in Portland to assert their constitutional rights.
Once you pass B, subject to administrative screening for weapons or explosives. If you have anything like that on you, and it's found once you pass B, you are subject to criminal charges.
And then they allow Antifa to attack them with weapons as they stand back and watch doing nothing until it becomes clear that those patriots that they disarmed are actually winning the brawl against the armed Antifa that attacked them. Then the police step in, basically to save Antifa's ass from total kicking. By the way, on October 5th, 2 minutes after he asked people to give money, McKelvey, who apparently had sex with an underage girl whom he choked and so on, whose friend has been convicted of multiple counts of sex with minors, tweeted, quote, "Imagine how different the world would be if white dudes cared as much about sexual assault as they do about net neutrality," unquote. Whoa. You see, it's stuff like that that has inspired me to make this graphic representation of psychological projection. The process by which people, like McKelvey, project that which they deny about themselves onto other people. Notice he's doing a double projection right here. He's projecting sexual misconduct onto white dudes and projecting racism onto them as well, because he's one of those people who say white people are racist and yada yada while he's being racist. At 2:46 p.m., Portland Police Bureau tweeted, "Traffic alert, Southwest 4th Avenue is currently closed between Southwest Harvey Milk Street and Southwest Oak Street while demonstrators gather on the road. Motorists should avoid Southwest 4th Avenue at this time and use extreme caution if driving in this area of Portland." Okay, not that the protesters should obey the law, but that motorists should get out of their way. That's how they do things in Portland, folks. No joke. There are a lot of great responses to this tweet with a lot of righteous indignation, as you might imagine. It would be great to go through all of them, but that would take too much time, but you can access them by seeing the links below. But we will focus on the top response because it pertains to something that is, well, very pertinent. It's by Laughing at Liberals, and it says, I like how the Portland police tell other people who have legitimate business to do to avoid the area, rather than tell the protesters to not violate multiple state statutes and city codes. Now, that might not be the most entertaining response. In fact, it's just the voice of common sense and common decency, but note that this is from the Twitter account for Laughing at Liberals. Laughing at Liberals is Mike Strickland, the guy with the gun in this now infamous incident here. This occurred on July 7th, 2016 during a Black Lives Matter protest in Portland. This was filmed by Mike Bluehair of Film the Police Portland. If you watch all of Mike Bluehair's video and Mike Strickland's video provided in the references, you will see that he was surrounded, intimidated, pushed, and grabbed both before and after he pulled his gun.
He's good. He's good. I'm not turning my camera off. I'm good. Don't do that. Dude!
A few minutes later in Mike Bluehair's video, we see Strickland and one other person being arrested. Strickland went to court for this and did not fare too well. It is these Black Bloc Antifas that we can now see in the top left who initially came at Mike Strickland, which we can now see from Strickland's own camera in the bottom left. Now we could see Strickland in the bottom right backing away. It is shortly after this that he drew his gun. Again, links are provided so you can see these videos in their entirety. The point here is that there is a chronic pattern in Portland, Oregon, as we've seen in past videos, which is a lot like that in Berkeley, California, as we've seen in many past videos, in which the police stand back and allow crimes to be committed against law-abiding citizens, and in which the police and mayor are apparently unashamed to admit, nay, proudly announce their official policy of reluctance to step in, attempting to justify it by saying that if they were to stop the crimes, it would increase the crimes.
Hey, you guys been hanging back today, huh? What's that? You guys been hanging back today?
Doing our job.
What's your job? I mean, there's been people brawling all day long. I haven't seen you around. What's your job in this situation? Hey, how come you guys are hanging back?
That would be a good question for the chief of police.
I mean, I'm just wondering why. I've been watching all day. People get beat up pretty bad. I haven't seen you guys around much.
Okay. And
how is this possible? Why does this chronic pattern in these cities carry on? Why are we letting them get away with this? Why aren't these mayors and police chiefs removed and punished? The Portland Police Bureau continued to tweet the locations of the mob that they allowed to terrorize citizens. The citizens that pay them to protect and serve. Yeah, I guess this is the police's way of saying, look, we're not going to do anything about this mob, but we're going to warn you at least where they are. How nice of them. I guess that's what they're getting paid for, huh? On October 8th at 7:48 a.m., Andy No tweeted, "This is the type of street anarchy that routinely happens where I live." Here is video from 6 October showing Antifa directing traffic in downtown and threatening people who don't obey with violence. Mayor Ted Wheeler, who really runs this town? The tweet included a link to another video by Farley, which seems to have been taken down. Sorry about that. Shortly after, No tweeted a reminder, Saturday's street takeover was just one in a string of events where the city's leaders abdicated responsibility to uphold the rule of law. Here's an example I investigated from the summer that lasted for weeks. And he provides a link to this article from August 3rd, 2018 that he wrote for Wall Street Journal. Anarchy breaks out in Portland with mayor's blessing. A vicious mob targeted the ICE office and even a food cart. The police followed orders to do nothing. There are too many cases of the mayor and police in Portland abandoning law-abiding citizens to the mob. Later in October, Brandon Farley would post more of his videos of October 6th, in which we could see more lawlessness and more police standing back and watching. Also on October 8th, updated October 9th, Willamette Week put out, police ask pedestrians to come forward after driver slowly pushes through a small crowd of protesters. Without statements from the people in the path of the silver Lexus, police say they may not have a case. This of course is in reference to this incident. Notice that they referred to the people who attacked this car as pedestrians. On October 9th, Joey Gibson of Patriot Prayer posted this on Facebook. If the mayor doesn't clear the streets, then maybe the citizens should. You may remember Joey Gibson from this incident in the summer of 2017 in Berkeley, California. There he is with his friend Tiny. Being attacked and being chased down the block by Antifa to where the police were standing back and allowing crimes to be committed. Yeah, they do it like that in Berkeley, California as well. They just stand back and let people be attacked.
You're not welcome, you pussy! Go to the cops, huh? Go to the cops, huh? Pussy! What the fuck is wrong with you?
By the way, moments after this, just a little bit down the street within sight of these police, was this attack on Keith of Patriot Warrior Media. Again, while the police did nothing. Not only did they do nothing to stop the attack, but after he gained consciousness and started stumbling down the block, some good Samaritan tried to wave down the police to tell him that Keith needed some help, and they slowly drove by Keith while looking at him and doing nothing.
He's hiding now! Welcome back to the cops! Welcome back! He's hiding now!
This is in America, folks. Not a dictatorship. America. Yeah. Returning now to October 9th, later at 7:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Fox aired this.
Isn't that pleasant? According to NRO and Quillette writer Andy No, Portland's lawless mob is as routine as lawless mobs are in the Senate office building. This video from October 6th shows Antifa assuming the role of armed crossing guards, threatening citizens with physical harm, even chasing them down with weapons. My favorite part, a pasty white loser attacking a law-abiding driver for being white.
Not long after that, Andy No appeared on Fox with Tucker Carlson.
Andy No lives in Portland, Oregon. He's a journalist at Quillette. He's been following this very closely, and he joins us tonight. So, Andy, we played a bunch of videos, some of which you publicized, of what's happening in the streets of Portland. I don't even know what your politics are, but were those, I just want to be clear, were those right-wing protesters, were those Republicans in the streets of Portland?
They were not.
They were not. Who were they, and what was the point of this, and how much coverage did it get in Portland, and did any civic or political leaders in Portland raise any kind of outcry about this, the violence?
Some of the footage you showed was recorded over the weekend on Saturday by Brandon Farley, and that was a protest organized by Don't Shoot Portland, which is a Black Lives Matter type of group. They were protesting the police-involved shooting of a man who is suspected of shooting two people. The police here take a pretty hands-off approach much of the time with protesters, and what you saw on Saturday in the video is that demonstrators were allowed to take over a street in downtown Portland and direct traffic and threaten drivers, stop traffic while the police looked on from a block away because they were afraid of inflaming the situation.
Did Democratic political leaders in Portland denounce the violence?
Not as far as I know. I mean, I know the story right now is being framed in a pretty partisan way in your show, but the facts of the matter on hand is that the Portland mayor, Ted Wheeler, also doubles as a police commissioner. And while I'm not privy to some of the internal conversations that he may have with the police department here, just based on other events that have happened in the past, I would say there's sort of a dereliction of duty of upholding the rule of law.
One might be tempted to come to that conclusion. The Washington Post doesn't agree, but I do. Thank you very much, Andy. Good to see you. Thank you for putting that online.
My pleasure.
On October 10th, Tiny of Patriot Prayer, you know, the big guy who was being chased down the block, live streamed from Facebook from the memorial for Patrick Timmons. Speaking to a few people at the memorial, he says he's not anti-cop, but that he is anti-bad cop. Not seeing anyone blocking traffic, he walks away, but he announces on his live stream that if they do block traffic again, he and the Proud Boys would do the job that the police are supposed to do. 2 days later, Joey Gibson said,
when Tiny went down the other day to talk to people about why they're there, which was good, they're just there at a memorial, God bless their souls, because they weren't blocking traffic. They weren't doing anything that's wrong except exercising the First Amendment right, which is a good thing.
But let's return to that video later because that's 2 days ahead. It's reported on October 11th that the city officials of Portland were flooded with calls about the concerns that were aired on Fox News. Also on that day, the Portland Police Bureau released this statement on the weekend's march. Near the end, they state, when determining whether or not to take law enforcement action at protest events, the most critical factor the Bureau takes into consideration is whether or not a police response would escalate or de-escalate tension. Escalation can lead to community members and officers getting injured or worse. Should you really be concerned more about your own safety than those who you are charged, nay, those who you swore an oath to protect and serve? Why are you even being paid? As someone commented on this on Twitter, so glad that this is cleared up. Now we know that if you feel someone is going to get upset because you're doing your job and enforcing the law, you will just let it go. Wow, what the hell is wrong with the city when they won't protect citizens because a mob will get madder? Laughing at liberals, which you'll remember as Mike Strickland posted his video that we saw earlier, and he added, you know what happens when Portland police allow mobs of violent thugs to take over streets? Citizens are left to fend for themselves. Maybe the next person whom the mob attacks won't have the same street level of discipline that I demonstrated. In other words, someone's gonna get shot because of these fucking police. What am I saying? We actually started this story off about a shooting. The Portland police apparently shooting a guy. Now, I recommend using the links that I provide to read the rest of the responses to this announcement from the Portland police because, well, it's very entertaining. Also on this day, Willamette Week put out this article, City receives a flood of calls after Fox News segment criticizes Antifa mob in Portland by Katie Shepard. The next day, October 12th, Willamette Week put out this, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler denies allegations that he hindered Portland police. Quote, they will find nothing, unquote. Quote, I guess they want me to have the investigation the Supreme Court nominee didn't have, unquote, by Katie Shepard. This guy will claim to not be politically biased. Yeah, he said that. At 2:24 p.m. on October 12th, Joey Gibson live streamed an important video regarding going into Portland tomorrow, which includes a link to this event page, a flash march for law and order in Portland, PDX, to which we shall return. In his live stream, Gibson says that although at that time the public did not know exactly what happened in the shooting of Patrick Timmons,
and God bless his soul. It's never good for any young man of whatever color to have to die because of the choices that they make. Okay? I want to make that very clear.
If you don't already know, generally speaking, a lot of the mainstream media on the left and even some of the mainstream media on the right claims that Gibson and Tiny, neither of whom are white, as you may have noticed, are white supremacists or far-right or fascist and Nazi and so on. This supposed white supremacist, fascist Nazi also said that
a bad police officer shoots a black man, a white man, a Mexican in cold blood murder, or it was uncalled for, I will be the first. Patriot Prayer, even Proud Boys will be the first to be on the streets to march against that, because a bad cop is an attack on all the good cops that we have in these police departments. All bad cops need to be fired or go to jail. Absolutely.
Gibson then expresses that he and the people of Portland are fed up with this crap, and he announced that on the following day, October 13th, there will be a flash march to bring media attention and to ask people to demand that the mayor do his job. The Flash March for Law and Order in Portland event page gave details on where to meet and states, Mayor Wheeler stands by while criminals block intersections and assault innocent bystanders who drive by. This isn't political, it's just wrong. It's a lack of respect for not only the law, but just other human beings. Be ready by 6 p.m. on Saturday. Bring lights and glow sticks. Keep checking back for updates. A strong group of men and women have already committed to being there. Come and join us. Now, of course, you remember this scumbag McKelvey here, right? Well, at 12:51 p.m. on October 12th, McKelvey tweeted, quote, reports that Patriot Prayer will be marching on the Patrick Kimmons Vigil, which is ironic. They about to be like, that scary black guy deserved it because he's a criminal, and also here is our friend Tiny. He mentions Tiny there because technically Tiny is a criminal. He's been arrested for fighting. I don't know if he's been convicted though, so maybe not. Anyway, his tweet continues, we believe in small government and we also support them killing people. So he's trying to characterize Patriot Prayer. And by the way, this is a total straw man because that's not what they about to be like, as he claims. We just heard Gibson in his own words, folks. Was he like that scary black guy deserved it? Or is McKelvey just full of shit? And a sex offender who is friends with another sex offender who leads mobs to destroy public and private property, then collects charity money for that damage and keeps the money and then skips town. I think it's the latter. Let us now descend into the pit of vipers where the mayor speaks with forked tongue. At 1:06 p.m. on this day, the mayor, Ted Wheeler, held this monthly press conference in which he was asked why, after 2 weeks, the police still had not released any statement about the killing of Patrick Kimmons. Wheeler basically says that more time is needed, and he takes quite a lot of time to say just that. Originally, I was going to play you most of what Wheeler said at this press conference because almost everything he says makes him look bad. And most of it is very relevant, but it's long and very dull. You can see the entire thing by scrolling down, seeing the link, and then going to the references section. But as far as this press conference is concerned, know that 1. Wheeler makes it very clear that he, as the head of the police bureau and as mayor, and the police themselves did in fact allow these mobs to take over the streets. He was very clear about that in this press conference. They allowed it. 2. They were in fact aware of the incident that we saw earlier and took no action as the situation was quote-unquote rapidly getting out of control. Okay, again, Ted Wheeler knew it was quote rapidly getting out of control unquote, and he was aware of the fact that they were doing nothing about that which was getting rapidly out of control, and he does say that that's what they intended to do. He makes that very clear. 3. He suggested that such things are rare in his city, which is a lie. 4. He stands by the police's excuse for not protecting and serving citizens and the US Constitution, which they swore an oath to uphold, while being paid by those very citizens whom they typically abandon to these mobs. 5. He suggests that there is a fine line between things like shooting a suspect to death and doing absolutely nothing, and he suggests that it's a tightrope walk between the two and it's difficult to not go to one extreme or the other because it's such a thin line. Absolutely absurd. 6. He characterizes the citizens' concern with the lawlessness and violence in the streets as people in basements drinking beer and watching YouTube videos. It's good to know what Wheeler thinks of his own constituents. Is this not a clear example of the indefensible political bias against his own constituents that Wheeler has? Is this not a clear indication of corruption and a sign that Wheeler is not fit to be mayor in any city of the United States of America? 7. He claims to not be politically biased. 8. He makes it abundantly clear that he is politically biased. He says much else that is worthy of criticism in this press conference, but we shall move on. Again, you can see the entire thing by scrolling down, seeing the link, and then going to the references section. Deep is the deception and dark is the ignorance in this pit of vipers. At 2:33 p.m., Mayor Wheeler tweeted, "I was appalled by what I saw in that clip and I support the decisions of Portland police." Wait a minute. Was he appalled or does he support what happened there? I believe them as the law enforcement professionals who have to weigh complex legal and safety issues, not only for the people on the streets, but also for themselves. Initialed Ted Wheeler. Now, the responses to this tweet are great and worth reading, so see the links below. I'll share just one of them with you. Quote, "Weigh complex legal and safety issues for themselves," unquote, is the kind of thinking that gets more kids killed in school shootings as cops stay outside until they feel, quote, "safe enough," unquote, to enter the building. Again, deep is the deception and dark is the ignorance in that pit of vipers. But fear not, let us now grasp for the light. At 11:16 p.m., Joey Gibson live streamed again and announced his intentions to march peacefully and lawfully and to pay respects to Kimmons and his survivors at the memorial because regardless of the details of the shooting, a human died and his family is grieving. He also asked that attendees of the flash march be on their best behavior. "Lo, for we shall lay bare the lies and treachery of the mayor of Portland, Oregon and his fellow vipers in that den, the city government where an outlaw is the chief of police. What was in darkness shall be brought to light. What was concealed shall be revealed. The last shall be first and the first last, as the malign patriot prayer shall be vindicated, and the one who virtue signals on high, the mayor, shall be lowered, ensnared in the trap of his own device, and he shall choke on his own lies. The bitter fruit of the seeds of treachery that he himself sowed. Lo, for the truth shall be told, the last laugh yet remains." Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, give me liberty or give me death.